She realized she was doomed, but set the smokescreen nevertheless. Our hero managed to both evade the submarine's torpedoes and sink the destroyer. But success came at a price: half of her HP pool. It would seem like it's a good time to slow down and bandage those wounds with Repair Party. But the enemy has other things in mind. An intact Gouden Leo jumps out from behind an island. Our Minotaur discharges both torpedo launchers, but the Dutch ship catches only one torpedo. Fortunately, her allies helped score the third frag. Schlieffen emerges at once. It's good that she hasn't coordinated with Liu. Carefully from behind the island, Minotaur showers her with shells and exchanges 5,000 of her own HP for 14,000 of the enemy's. Her allies finish off the daring German. Hindenburg, fleeing at full steam, gets spotted behind the island. It's impolite to leave a party early. The fourth frag for our score. Now let's capture a key area. Our allies will deal with the submarine without us. Carefirst is way more interesting. Setting a smokescreen, turning round and firing. The battleship hid behind an island. Well, time to get closer. Here it comes, an excellent duel. An almost intact German versus our battered Brit. But first, the damage. To be exact, the winner of the maximum damage dealt category, a player with a self-explanatory nickname, Torpedo Dead, managed to score over 300,000 damage in a ranked battle. Some might say Minotaur got lucky, but we're sure that skill had something to do with it as well. Not only did the Brit play without smoke generator, but she also spent most of the battle in the F7 sector on the north map. Once they reached the position, our hero robbed super battleship Satsuma of almost 90,000 HP and scored 10 Citadel hits on Moskva, which had hospitably turned her side to welcome a couple of armor-piercing salvos. Kremlin appeared after the heavy cruiser, but the battleship considered Minotaur to be an unworthy opponent and disappeared behind an island. Our Brit wasn't sad about this because Satsuma followed Kremlin's route. This time, a condescending attitude towards Minotaur played a bad joke on the super battleship. Something to think about back in the port. The cruiser left her hunting grounds for the first time after 14 minutes of battle to finish off the last survivor from the red team. Minotaur scored 742 hits, dealt 323,000 damage, defended Key Area C 19 times, and captured it once. Fun fact, despite the nickname, Torpedo Dead hasn't hit anyone with torpedoes. Nevertheless, it's a confident victory, both in the battle and in Sea Smackdown. Let's return to the British-German duel. Minotaur launches torpedoes. German secondaries are dangerous, extinguishing the fire straight away. Carefirst clearly understands who the most dangerous enemy is. Our cruiser has lost 14,000 HP. 2 of our torpedoes hit the battleship. Time for Repair Party. Launching the remaining 4 torpedoes and continuing to shower the battleship with AP shells. Ouch, that was painful. Minus 10,000 HP. All of our torpedoes hit the target, and at the same time, we get a slap from Carefirst. It's a good thing that our hero made repairs in time. Now to finish the enemy off, it's Kraken Unleashed. No opponents left here. A long voyage to another flank awaits. You can hug an ally on the way. It would seem that everything is fine. Time and 2 key areas are on our side, and our team has 2 more ships. But it's moments like these that can turn a sure victory into a bitter defeat, and leave the entire team wondering what went wrong. That's why Minotaur is cautious. Firing only from smokes or from behind an island, another Carefirst loses her HP little by little. All of a sudden, an enemy Montana lands a hit on us. She followed our tracers and fired blindly, but took 4,000 HP away. Minotaur is lucky to still be alive. Meanwhile, Allied Yueyang sank Kurfürst and seriously damaged Stalingrad, which was then finished off by our teammates. On the downside, our Yamato sinks. Moreover, Thunderer destroys our Petropavlovsk. Caution is now more important than ever. Firing a little at Thunderer and hiding behind an island. The enemy Montana suddenly launches fighters. Our hero is spotted. Thunderer fires and... And it's time to switch to another category for a while. Here we have two battles at once. In the first one, our player, nicknamed Ava Lord, together with two allies, took care of enemy Stalingrad and Z-52 on their flank. In the second battle, player Torpida Maminoi Podrugi, who has already been featured in one of our previous Sea Smackdown episodes, also confidently dealt with a heavy cruiser and destroyer. Only in this case they were Napoli and Smolensk. Then each of the Minotaurs rushed after the enemy carrier. By the way, those were ranked battles in both cases, and the carrier was Nahimov. To do the latter justice, they fought back valiantly, but that wasn't enough to overcome the British anti-aircraft defences. The first Minotaur managed to reach an unbelievable number of 82 aircraft shot down, before the carrier sank. However, the second cruiser showed an even more astonishing result: 99 destroyed aircraft. Excellent performance and well-deserved victories in the maximum aircraft destroyed category. Let's get back down to the Islands of Ice map. To the battle that was almost over for our hero. Fortunately, they still have 3,500 HP left. The last repair party is activated, carefully withdrawing and firing at the retreating Montana from behind an island. Setting a smokescreen and focusing on Thunderer. The enemy tries to pinpoint us by our tracers, but without luck, and our hero confidently destroys the battleship. As for Montana, she became the 7th frag, the final and completely deserved trophy. 3,700 base XP, 328,000 damage dealt, 7 ships sunk, and a heap of medals earned.
The star of today's show is legendary battleship Yamato. Before the arrival of another Japanese ship, Shikishima, Yamato's guns were the biggest of all, not just among the Japanese battleships, but out of all ships in the game. Judge for yourself. The caliber of her guns is 460mm, and Yamato has 9 of them. The maximum damage of an AP shell is 14,800, an HE shell 7,300. In total, one armour-piercing broadside salvo can deal 133,200 damage. One high-explosive salvo, 65,700 damage. Of course, it's very difficult to achieve results like these, but our players do sometimes prove that they know how to deal huge amounts of damage per salvo playing Yamato. An important advantage of large caliber guns is their ability to penetrate armour up to 32mm thick, according to the 14.3 calibers rule. In other words, when you face Yamato, Musashi or Shikishima, don't be surprised if they penetrate your ship's bow and deal damage to your citadel. The next feature of the Japanese battleship's guns is their firing range. Without upgrades, Yamato can fire over a distance of up to 26.6 kilometers. With the second modification of gunfire control system, up to 30.9 kilometers. Moreover, if you equip the spotting aircraft consumable, the Japanese battleship's range of fire will temporarily grow to a record-breaking 37.1 kilometers. Impressive, right? We decided to test the effectiveness of Yamato's incredible firing range in random battles. We gave the following task to a battleship's captain: deal over 100,000 damage and sink at least one ship without moving. And they completed the mission on the first try. We would like to stress, though, that you shouldn't act like this in battles, because a moving battleship in our game can do a lot of useful things: push through a flank, hold off an enemy attack, change positions if necessary, support allied ships, and even capture key areas. As you know, movement is life. That's how Yamato's guns are. Those who make friends with this power will score hundreds of thousands of damage and win countless battles. That's exactly what our player, Full Dragon, from the EU server will demonstrate right now. From everybody who sent us their replays, they scored the most damage. Well, almost. A few words about the reload of Yamato's guns. The base value, without any upgrades, is 30 seconds. With main battery modification 3, it's 26.4 seconds, an interesting fact. If you assign Yamamoto Isoroku to command your Yamato, obtain the Kraken Unleashed achievement to activate the second Wind Commander talent, then lose enough hit points to make the Adrenaline Rush skill work at the highest efficiency. Have 4 instances of fire aboard to obtain the maximum bonus of the Furious skill, and finally have an enemy within the range of your secondary battery to activate the Close Quarters Expert skill. Then the reload time of your main guns will be between 10 and 12 seconds. You won't survive long in such a situation, but what a fantastic result for a battleship. However, even without extreme reloading times, player Cadis Raija from the CIS region was able to sink 8 enemies playing Yamato and earn almost 3,500 base XP. By the way, this player caused the most damage out of all the participants of our show. In addition to her guns, Yamato has a decent arsenal of auxiliary weapons. You can check out the tests of the battleship's secondary battery in the first episode of Rico Chet on our channel. The link to this video can be found in the description. As for anti-aircraft defense, even if you reinforce it with skills and upgrades, you will still need to seek support from your allies from time to time, especially against Tier 10 aircraft carriers. Despite that, Yamato is still capable of earning the AA Defense Expert achievement on her own sometimes. Let's move from guns to armour. Here, Yamato has something to boast as well. Protection of the central part of her hull at the waterline is 410mm. On her ends, it's 32mm. Her deck armour in the central part is 57mm thick. She has a pool of 97,200 hit points. Such armour and HP pool allow Yamato to survive for a long time in battle, under a hail of enemy shells, and this will add more and more potential damage to her score. Our player, Katsuragi Kai from the NA server, scored the most potential damage among all people who sent us their replays. Yamato has decent protection, but this is not a reason to expose her sides, especially at 90-degree angles. By the way, the Japanese battleship has one vulnerability. If a large caliber enemy shell hits the area between the second and first barbets of her bow turrets, there is a high probability that it will penetrate the citadel. Yes, you heard it right. Yamato can not only deal impressive damage to enemies, she can also lose the bulk of her own HP in quite a dramatic manner. A few more words about the defense of this Japanese battleship. More precisely, about her torpedo defense. Yamato has some of the best defense in the game, 55%. And it can be further reinforced up to 62% with the Vigilant skill. We've suggested various skills and upgrades in this video. Based on your own playstyle, you can choose any variant to prepare your ship for battle. We can only recommend the most versatile set of upgrades. You can see it on your screen now. We recommend installing Main Battery Modification 3 in the 6th slot to increase the reload speed, or the Main Battery Director System unique upgrade from the Research Bureau, which reduces shell dispersion by 7%. Don't forget though, that both upgrades slow down the traverse speed of the main battery turrets. As for commander skills, we recommend paying attention to those that are marked with a symbol. However, you can always make your own configuration and reinforce Yamato's secondary battery or AA defences, for example. Yamato is a true legend, both in world naval history and in our game. As our players have demonstrated in this video, this Japanese battleship is capable of deciding the outcome of a battle on her own.
Before we get to the main battle of today's episode, we need to warm up. To help us with that, we present a player with nickname Torpida Maminoi Padrugi, who has won the maximum damage nomination. The events on the mountain range map went down for the destroyer as though they had been scripted in advance. First of all, Kagero approached Grossa Kehrfirst, which was standing all sad and gloomy near an island. 8 torpedoes definitely brought some joy to the battleship. I'm pretty sure that the German ship will head to another battle in a better mood. Then our destroyer captain trapped a maneuvering Thunderer with some torpedoes, and in a conclusion to their solo part, Kagero treated their compatriot Yamato to a mix of torpedoes and high explosive shells. It was humble and tasteful. 214,000 damage inflicted. It's the best result out of all those who have sent us their replays for the C SmackDown show in update 0.10.10. So, are you warmed up? Then let's continue with the main replay of this episode. The protagonist of the replay goes under the nickname G Megamax. A battle on the neighbours map seems to be smooth sailing for our hero from the outset. Our hero is at the top of the list and the map is open, so the only thing you need to do is launch torpedoes in bursts and reload. I'm not joking about bursts now. Our Kagero is so cool that she headed into battle with torpedo reload booster equipped instead of smoke generator. At the same time, Shiratsuyu from the red team acted cautiously and utilized smoke generator, but it didn't save her from our deadly Kagero. To be on the safe side, our hero added some high explosive shells to her torpedo salvo. These shells were excessive though. During the several seconds that our Kagero was spotted after firing, she lost half of her HP pool, and it was just the beginning of the battle. Fine, let's take a deep breath, get it together, and start acting like a true ninja. For starters, let's capture a key area and inspect the distribution of forces. Both allies and enemies are acting cautiously. We can use it to our advantage. We can rush forward and cook some nice torpedo soup. Suddenly, somebody blocked the key area. Destroyers? No, both of them are at areas A and C right now. Edinburgh. She's even hidden in smoke behind an island so that battleships can't get to her. What a cheeky move. Nothing to worry about though. We'll deal with you right away. Kagero approached the smoke screen to 5.5 kilometers, spotted the firing British ship, and launched torpedoes at her. All done by the book. Now we just have to wait for a hit. But there was none. That's one lucky ship. She didn't even retreat from key area B. Ah well, blast this key area. We'll always have time to capture it. Kagero leaves the key area and takes aim at Gneisenau. The battleship wasn't maneuvering much. It seems like she forgot about a deadly threat right under her stern. As everyone knows, the best cure for forgetfulness is a torpedo salvo on an empty stomach. Here is the second frag and devastating strike. Meanwhile, Edinburgh decided to change her role from being the hunted to becoming a hunter. The cruiser even stopped capturing the key area for that. After our hero had launched torpedoes at Gneisenau, she activated Torpedo Reload Booster and addressed 2 torpedo spreads to the British ship. A torpedo hit didn't change Edinburgh's intention of chasing the destroyer down. Moreover, that torpedo hit even made the cruiser more focused. What was the reason behind that? The radio location skill? Or pure intuition? I'll tell you just that the British ship was literally in the wake of our Kagero. A couple of hundred more meters, and Edinburgh would see Kagero through the reticle. There was another issue as well. A landmass was getting close fast on the destroyer's port side. There was nowhere to hide. Smoke generator had been left at the port. The score was 185 versus 497 in favor of the red team, and the enemy team had also captured all key areas. Things were getting desperate. Will Kagero be able to get through it and win over Edinburgh? We'll know it immediately after the Maximum Ship Sunk nomination. In this nomination, a player nicknamed Alex Sell demonstrates their skills in effectively scrapping enemy ships. The destroyer captain welcomed Otago when she was coming from behind an island and finished her off with main guns. After that, within just several seconds, the destroyer managed to issue torpedo invitations to North Carolina and aircraft carrier Pobeda for them to visit the domain of Poseidon. At the most appropriate moment, she sank Mogami and thus earned the Kraken Unleashed achievement. The last enemy to learn the power of Kagero's torpedoes was Amagi. 6 ships sunk and 3,193 base XP. That's a great result. Can you do better? Then read the rules for sending your replays to our Sea Smackdown show carefully and surprise us with your achievements. I'll let you know what ship will be featured in the next episode at the end of this video. Until then, we're returning to the neighbors map. A desperate torpedo salvo launched at the cruiser. The destroyer is spotted. Edinburgh turns her side for a full broadside, and this is her fatal mistake. 2 Japanese torpedoes didn't approve of the British ship's desire to get rid of her enemy as fast as possible. The 3rd ship sunk in that battle. The teams now have the same number of ships, but we can't say the same about the score. While we were escaping from Edinburgh, we went too far from the key areas. We need to fix that. Our allies somehow telepathically understood that as well, and they began capturing key area A. That's great. We'll capture key area C in the meantime. While Kagero was approaching her target, 2 allied ships were destroyed, one of which was capturing key area A. At the same time, only 1 enemy ship was sent back to port. Things started to feel unpleasant in the battle again. To make things worse, Leon with full HP and aircraft carrier Serov with almost full HP was spotted approaching key area C. If these 2 ships spot us, we won't have those 5,000 remaining HP for long. And if we're destroyed here now, it will mean that we've lost the battle in this part of the map. Kagero launches 2 torpedo spreads at the battleship and activates the last charge of Torpedo Reload Booster, a double torpedo spread at the battleship. Carefully, like a circus tightrope walker, she evades her enemies and tries to avoid being spotted. 3 torpedoes were enough for Leon to go down. Serov needed just 2. 2 more frags have been added to our battle score. and a whole load of medals, high caliber, a couple of devastating strikes, double strike, and the most pleasant achievement, Kraken Unleashed. Our hero inflicted almost 200,000 damage. Our winners of the maximum damage per salvo nomination also dealt impressive amounts of damage in their respective battles. After the nomination, we'll return to our hero and find out how her battle ends. York managed to calm down Kagoro's euphoria from all these earned awards with her shells, so our hero was left with a bit more than 4,000 HP. Key Area C has been captured, and an allied aircraft carrier sinks the last enemy battleship. Kagoro set out in the direction of Key Area B, where Z-23 was spotted at that exact moment. The German ship is in direct line of sight. Here's a chance. Firing main guns, Z-23 hid behind an island. Is she going to get away? Kagoro launched torpedoes to be on the safe side, and almost got stuck against an island. She completely lost speed. York uses that opportunity and hits our destroyer with another high-explosive slap. Z-23 showed up for a moment. Another main gun salvo, the 6th frag. Now it's time for York. Catch those high-explosive shells. Hits on the bow and rear ends. The cruiser fires back. Our Kagoro has been sunk. An important question, will we get another medal? Alas, shells from Allied Bismarck were slightly faster. We didn't get the "it's just a flesh wound" achievement. Even without that extra reward, G Megamax vividly showed us that Kagoro is able to decide the outcome of a battle on her own. The player received more than 3,000 base XP, inflicted almost 200,000 damage, and sank half the enemy. Once upon a time, there lived a Minotaur in a labyrinth of islands, and all sorts of people would come to try and defeat it. I'm kidding, my friend. We're not here to tell fairy tales. Our show is different. We have seas of fire, waterfalls of shells, squalls of torpedoes, and the most intense naval action there is. It's Sea Smackdown time. We begin at Islands of Ice, a great location for a warm-up. It's here that player Me0102, fighting in a division with Goliath and Grozavoy, has presented their research report about the harmful effects of British shells on ship HP. Minotaur took her mission to raise awareness very seriously, as befits a true professional. She made some armor-piercing arguments to convince Lighting that an aft protruding from behind an island is not the best defensive stance. She used remote education to explain to Yoshino that danger can come from anywhere. Then she took a coffee break to have an artillery discussion with enemy cruisers and a battleship. After that, our professor inspired Isashio to explore the underwater world. Gave a short explanation to Prince Ruprecht about the negative impact of British shells on her HP pool. Proved again the credibility of her scientific theories to Tirpitz, although the latter, together with Monarch and Salem, needed a lot of persuasion. But it's truly impossible to resist when you're treated to a tasty British torpedo. Minotaur's skillful artillery fire closed the deal. As for Salem, she was an easy target. While carrying out her educational activities, Minotaur destroyed 7 ships, which made her the winner of our Maximum Ships Sunk category. It's the best result among all players who sent their replays to see SmackDown during update 0.10.11. Is everyone warmed up? Let's move to the main battle of this episode, which also happened on the Islands of Ice map. What's the most important thing about any game?